Hi, I'm Ed Baines of Randall and Aubin restaurant here in Soho, London, and this week we're celebrating British Seafood Week. So if you're a lover of fish, come in, try it out. Every day we've got specials on the menu, and I'm going to quickly show you how to make oysters Randall. So we've got these lovely English rock oysters, beautiful shape. You always want something with a smooth surface, really makes it easy to open. The first part of doing this is how you hold an oyster knife. This is very important, otherwise you might hurt yourself. So you lay it across the palm and fingers, your hand, push your thumb down. So you've only got a small nib of the knife sticking out. That's in case you slip, it's less likely to puncture your hand. Then you count on your left hand, 2 fingers down, central finger, and you just gently ease the knife into the little crack between the top half of the shell and the bottom, wriggle it through and open it. Of course, I've made that look rather easy because I've been doing this for about 30 years. But it's relatively straightforward, but there is an element of danger, which is why very often people come to an oyster bar or a seafood restaurant and have it done for them. Now, normally what you do, of course, is just squeeze some lemon juice over there, maybe a splash of Tabasco, and bolt it down. A little horseradish would be nice. But I'm going to create a dish called Oysters Randall, which is a cooked oyster dish. So I'll transfer the oyster onto, drain off the water first, and then into a bowl, and we're going to mix it together with a very simple, lovely little sauce, retaining the shells. So repeat that again. Just do another one here. It's pretty straightforward. So again, oyster knife, little part of the oyster knife sticking out the front. Just wiggle it down, and then flick it open. This way of opening oysters is a continental method, predominantly used in France, and is a much better way of opening an oyster, to be honest. You don't need a table, you don't need a cloth, you don't need anything else. I think I'll show you the other method, which I don't like because it tends to give you a repetitive strain, and more of the sort of more common way you might see an oyster being opened in England, which is where you put a cloth down, you fold that over, and you go into the tail of the oyster, wiggling the oyster. It's more about technique than brute strength, but as you can see, immediately it's already becoming a bit harder. If you slip, you're really going to smash yourself up. And then you flick it open like so. The reason it is more difficult is the oyster can sense that you're coming and tends to tighten up. Now, of course, by the nature of an oyster, it is still alive at this point. And you eat them live, and that's very important. If you were to eat a raw oyster that was dead, you would follow in its footsteps. So here we go, we just gently ease the oyster out and sweep it into the bowl nice and cleanly. Now, these are beautiful, called English oysters. In fact, they're called Jersey rocks. Very pure, very clean, grade A waters. You always want to, of course, make sure when you're eating oysters they're super fresh. So you look for clarity in the oyster. You want clear seawater inside the oyster. No milkiness. If they're milky, it means they become female. They're not particularly nice. You want them that lovely, clean, clear colour. Disregard any juice inside. As I say, normally one might just gobble these down whole. 6 oysters will make you feel good. 12 oysters, you'll feel like you're in heaven. Just a magnificent thing to eat. So many good ingredients in there, things that just balance you off. Potassium, zinc, iron, it's all in there. And again, if you do like 8 oysters and a few glasses of wine, the following day you won't have a hangover. So I say, anything beyond 12 oysters, the fireworks really start. So here we go. We've got our oysters in there. I'm shucking 5 oysters. The next thing you need to do if you're creating a cooked oyster dish, of course, is cook the shells, because you've got raw particles within these shells. So normally you give them, if there's grit in there, a little rinse, but there shouldn't be any grit in your oysters. I'm going to just pop these into my salamander here to dry out. And whilst they're drying out, we'll combine the remaining ingredients. So drain off all the liquid and juice. So one might want to disregard that, or what you could do is mix it with a little bit of tomato juice, a splash of Tabasco, and a little nip of vodka, and that would go down well. Only after 12 o'clock, of course, but that's a lovely little shot to have before you eat your oysters. So we're going to combine our oysters with a little bit of cooked spinach. I fry that off with a knob of butter, a touch of garlic, salt, pepper, and a pinch of nutmeg. So we combine that into the oysters, not too much, Sometimes when you're cooking, less is more. And the other ingredient for Oysters Randall is either crevette grease or brown shrimps, Morecambe Bay shrimps, or little pink shrimps, lovely pink shrimps. I always like to buy them with the shell on, they're much sweeter, and peel them ourselves. We add them in, little sprinkle of those. And then a touch of tarragon. Tarragon's a very, very strong herb, can be overpowering. Some chefs like to blanch it first because it's so strong, but when I'm mixing it into a sauce, I don't really think that's particularly necessary. Just going to cut it up. Obviously make sure you've washed your herbs first. It's got a lovely aniseed flavour, it works beautifully with so many different types of fish, and of course the classic sauce Baines with beef, and it aids digestion. That's what tarragon really does, as well as taste is lovely. Finally, we have a little cream sauce here. This is known as a velouté or a reduction. So you just very simply fry some shallots off nice and slowly in a pan, add a glass of white wine, a glass of fish stock, reduce it down by 2/3, cover it with cream and slowly reduce it down again by 2/3. Season it with a little salt and pepper. You've got your classic based French cream sauce served with fish. These guys now are nicely cooked, dried out, so everything inside here is safe then to recook. Just check them for any bits and bobs in there. There's a little bit of shell in there, you don't want that. They're nice and clean, and that's safe then to use with cooked seafood. We're going to add the sauce to this. Now I recommend whenever you're adding sauces or so on, always use a spoon to do so, just so you're in control of what you're doing. You don't completely mask it. And always remember with cooking, you can always add, but you generally can't take away. So little at a time. You've got this lovely consistency here of spinach and shrimps, a little bit of tarragon. There we go. And see, doing this quite gently. I don't want the oysters to break up. Then each oyster, I'm going to take and dig out an oyster with a little bit of that spinach, line them up, and then of course cover them with the remaining sauce and little pieces of shrimp. Touch more of my velouté. This is real old school classical cooking, but you know what, sometimes the classics just work so well. A little spoon over the top. Obviously this is a lovely dish for us to serve at Randall and Aubin. It's an old traditional recipe, it's American, called Oysters Randall. I don't know why, so we've adopted it at the restaurant for celebration of oysters. This is one of the dishes we're serving at Randall Aubin throughout our Oyster Festival in October. Each week we're going to serve a different style cooked or raw oyster dish. So we've got lovely oysters tempura, we've got oysters in a Vietnamese style, of course this one, Oysters Randall, and then the famous Oysters Kilpatrick, which is also another lovely dish. Finally, we've got some Parmesan cheese, just using a lovely little microplane grater. Always with Parmesan, best from the block, grated fresh, so you get that lovely moisture over the top. This just gives it that wonderful sweetness. Don't overdo it with the cheese. Again, just a little bit of cheese. You're trying to enhance all these flavors together. Then we've got some breadcrumbs, just lightly sprinkled over the top. The grill's on full pelt behind me, so all you need to do then, of course, if you were serving this at a dinner party, option 1 is serve 4 or 5 to each person, fill up the tray under the grill. Option 2, give us a call and book a table, we'll do it for you. Okay. Right, we leave them under the grill for about a minute. And then I've already set up the serving plate. It's always a good idea to do that when you're grilling, so you're always one step ahead. We've just got a nice little bowl plate here, and I put rock salt on the base. It's a very, very classical way of serving oysters that of course allows them to sit in the salt and stay put. Raw oysters, of course, you serve on crushed ice. Cooked oysters, generally you serve on salt. shame they haven't yet invented smell-o-vision, because these smell absolutely fantastic. Going to grab them out from the grill. And they're just starting to colour. And that's enough. You don't want to take them too far or they will just burn. The cheese is just melting, and obviously just lightly browned Parmesan cheese is a wonderful thing. Burnt Parmesan cheese really does taste quite horrific. So it doesn't take long. It's a minute under the grill. You've got this lovely flavour there. See, I'm positioning the oysters. Cornish quill on the plate there. Finish it off with a nice wedge of lemon on the side. Really simple dish. Really absolutely lovely. I'll tell you what we've got here. There we are. I think you need a little fork, a little oyster fork, a small fork. Stick on the side. You can gobble your way through them. Obviously the shells are rather hot. There we have it. Simple classical dish, oysters Randall.